the mid-14th century, a shadow fell upon Europe. It wasn't war, famine, or political turmoil, though those were no strangers to the medieval world. It was something far more terrifying, the Black Death. This bubonic plague, carried by fleas on rodents, decimated the population, transforming daily existence into a desperate struggle for survival. The plague arrived like a thief in the night, a ship limping into port, rumors of sickness from distant lands, then suddenly the first signs. A fever, painful swellings in the groin and armpits, buboes, and the ominous dark blotches on the skin that gave the disease its name. Panic spread faster than the illness itself. Towns and villages became isolated, cut off from the outside world in a futile attempt to contain the contagion. Daily life was irrevocably altered. Markets, once centers of commerce and social activity, became deserted. People avoided contact, fearing every touch. Food became scarce as farmers died in their fields, leaving crops to rot. Sanitation collapsed under the weight of bodies and neglect. The ever-present stench of death became a constant companion. Families were torn apart, some succumbing entirely to the disease, others left to grieve in isolation, struggling to bury their dead. The bonds that held communities together frayed, replaced by a chilling indifference born of self-preservation. A farmer might till his field, acutely aware that any day could be his last. A merchant might try to hawk his wares, the streets nearly empty. His own fear a tangible barrier to trade. A priest, knowing his duty, might offer blessings, watching helplessly as his flock dwindled. Medieval medicine was woefully unprepared for a disease of this magnitude. Doctors, guided by ancient theories, clung to the idea of miasma, bad air, as the cause. They believed imbalances in the body's humors, blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, were to blame. Treatments were often based on these flawed premises. Bloodletting, intended to restore balance, was a common but often fatal practice. Herbal remedies, poultices made from various plants, and the burning of incense were all employed in a desperate attempt to ward off the disease. Barber surgeons, who performed basic medical procedures, were often the only available source of care, but their skills were limited. The medical profession, lacking any understanding of germ theory, was powerless to stop the relentless march of the plague. In the absence of effective medical solutions, superstition and religious fervor filled the void. Many believed the Black Death was a punishment from God, a divine retribution for the sins of humanity. Processions of flagellants, whipping themselves as a form of penance, marched through towns, seeking to appease God's wrath. Others turned to amulets, charms, and rituals, hoping to ward off the evil spirits they believed were responsible. Blame was often directed at marginalized groups. Jewish communities were falsely accused of poisoning wells and faced horrific persecution and massacres. The spectrum of responses ranged from intense religious piety, hoping for divine intervention, to a despairing nihilism, a rejection of all hope and morality, in the face of certain death. The Black Death had a profound and lasting effect on medieval society. The massive death toll created severe labor shortages. Surviving workers found themselves in high demand, leading to increased wages and improved living standards for some. This shift in economic power challenged the existing social order. Peasants, who had previously been tied to the land, were now able to demand better terms from landowners. The feudal system, already weakened by other factors, suffered a further blow. While the devastation was undeniable, the plague also acted as a catalyst for social and economic change, accelerating the decline of feudalism and paving the way for new opportunities for those who survived. The Black Death was a catastrophe that forever altered the course of history. It brought unimaginable suffering and loss, but it also ushered in a new era, one where the old certainties were questioned and the seeds of change were sown. It serves as a stark illustration of humanity's vulnerability in the face of the unknown, but also of its ability to adapt and rebuild, even in the darkest of times.